The large silver ship appeared in Earth's sky without warning. It was bigger than any human spacecraft and moved with perfect silence through the darkness of space. Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the command center window, watching the alien vessel position itself near the moon. He had been waiting for this moment for 3 years, ever since the first radio signals from space had reached Earth. "Sir, they're sending a message," said Lieutenant Kelly Smith from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jake could see her hands shaking slightly as she worked at her controls. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The room fell silent as dozens of military officers and scientists watched the large display come to life. The creature that appeared on screen was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Its eyes were large and dark, and when it spoke, its voice was cold and mechanical. "I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Valyrian Empire," the alien said. "Your species has been selected for integration into our domain. You will surrender your weapons and submit to our rule or face complete destruction." Jake stepped forward, his jaw tight. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of Earth Defense Command. We're willing to discuss peaceful relations, but we won't surrender to anyone." The ambassador's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but it held no warmth. "Your primitive species amuses me, Admiral. You speak of discussion as if you have a choice in this matter." Dr. Lisa Carter, Earth's top alien expert, moved to stand beside Jake. She had studied every signal from space for years, learning what she could about alien technology and culture. "Ambassador Kethvar, surely we can find a way to coexist peacefully. Earth has much to offer in terms of scientific knowledge and cultural exchange." The alien's laugh was like the sound of breaking glass. "What could your backward world possibly offer the Valyrian Empire? You still use crude metal ships and primitive chemical rockets. Your weapons are barely capable of destroying your own cities, let alone threatening our vessels." Jake felt his anger rising, but he kept his voice calm. "We may not have your advanced technology, but we have something else. We have the will to defend our home and our people." "Will?" The ambassador's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Will is useless against the power of quantum singularities and plasma cannons. Your metal ships would be vapor before they could even approach our fleet." Captain Ryan Blake, who had been listening from the back of the room, stepped forward. He commanded the USS Defiant, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. "Admiral, request permission to demonstrate our defensive capabilities." Jake nodded. "Granted, Captain. Show our guest what human engineering can accomplish." Ryan activated his communicator. "Defiant, this is Blake. Activate the gravitational field system for demonstration." Through the command center's windows, they could see the USS Defiant floating in Earth's orbit. The ship was sleek and dark, about half the size of the alien vessel. Suddenly, the space around it began to shimmer and bend, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Interesting," the ambassador said, though his tone suggested he was anything but impressed. "A simple gravity well generator. We have been using such devices for centuries, though ours are far more sophisticated." Dr. Carter exchanged a quick look with Jake. They both knew the system was much more than a simple gravity generator, but they weren't about to explain its true capabilities to a potential enemy. "Your demonstration only proves my point," the ambassador continued. "Your technology is centuries behind ours. The Valyrian Empire has conquered 12 star systems with ease. Your single world will offer no challenge." Pete Collins, Earth's chief weapons engineer, had been quietly studying the alien ship through his instruments. He looked up from his readings with a puzzled expression. "Admiral, their power signatures are unusual. They're using controlled quantum events for energy." "Controlled quantum events?" Dr. Carter asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her diplomatic caution. "Yes," Pete said slowly. They're creating tiny artificial black holes and using the energy they release. It's incredibly advanced, but ... But what? Jake asked. Pete hesitated. There might be a weakness. The quantum fields they're using create a specific resonance pattern. If we could match that pattern and amplify it. The ambassador's expression darkened. Enough of your primitive speculation. The Valyrian Empire gives you 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Prepare your leaders for transition to imperial rule, or watch your cities burn. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in tense silence. Jake turned to address his team. You heard him. We have 3 days to prepare for the fight of our lives. Dr. Carter was already moving toward her research station. I need to analyze everything we just learned about their technology. Pete, can you work with me on understanding their quantum systems? Already on it, Pete replied, his fingers flying across his keyboard. If there's a way to use their own power against them, we'll find it. Captain Blake stepped up to Jake. Admiral, the Defiant systems are more advanced than the ambassador realizes. If we can modify our gravitational generators based on Pete's findings ... Do it, Jake said firmly. Whatever it takes, we're not surrendering our world to anyone. As the alien ship disappeared into the darkness of space, the men and women in the command center began the desperate work of preparing Earth's defenses. They had 72 hours to find a way to defeat an enemy that had conquered 12 worlds with ease. None of them knew that humanity's greatest strength was about to become the Valyrian Empire's greatest weakness. The next 3 days would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Valyrian fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of deadly insects. 200 ships materialized in the darkness beyond Earth's moon, their crystalline hulls catching and reflecting the light of distant stars. Each vessel was a masterpiece of alien engineering, powered by controlled quantum singularities that made them nearly indestructible. Fleet Commander Zeth Nox stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was taller than Ambassador Kethvar, with darker blue skin marked by silver patterns that showed his high rank in the Imperial military. His large eyes surveyed the small blue world that hung before him like a jewel in the void. Scan the planet. He ordered his tactical officer. Show me what passes for their military. The holographic display in the center of the bridge came to life, showing Earth surrounded by a thin shell of human spacecraft. The Valyrian computers quickly counted and analyzed each vessel. 53 ships detected, Commander. The tactical officer reported, all of primitive metal construction. No energy shielding detected. Their largest vessel measures only 800 meters in length. Zeth Nox's mouth curved in a cold smile. Pathetic. I have destroyed asteroids more threatening than their entire fleet. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to all ships. Let them witness the power of the Valyrian Empire. On Earth, General Amy Rodriguez sat in the underground command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. Banks of computers surrounded her, showing the positions of every human ship and the massive alien fleet that had just arrived. She had been a soldier for 20 years, but she had never faced odds like these. General, we are receiving transmissions. From the alien fleet, reported Sergeant Mike Johnson. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Amy ordered, though she dreaded what they might hear. The main screen showed the interior of the alien flagship. Commander Zeth Nox stood in the center of the bridge, surrounded by strange technology that hummed with barely contained energy. People of Earth, the alien commander began, his voice carrying across every radio and television on the planet. I am Fleet Commander Zeth Nox of the Valyrian Imperial Navy. Your leaders have refused our generous offer of peaceful integration. Therefore, your world will be taken by force. Dr. Helen Martinez, who had been working frantically in her laboratory, for the past 3 days, looked up from her quantum calculations. She had discovered something remarkable about the alien technology, something that might give humanity chance, but she needed more time to perfect her theories. "Commander," she said into her communicator, "I need to speak with General Rodriguez immediately." Back on the alien flagship, Zethnox continued his broadcast. "Your primitive vessels are no match for Valerian technology. Our shields have never been breached by any known weapon in the galaxy. Our quantum cannons can destroy entire moons. Your resistance is not just futile, it is meaningless." The camera panned across the bridge, showing the alien crew at their stations. Strange machines covered in glowing crystals lined the walls. At the center of it all was a swirling vortex of energy, a controlled black hole that powered the massive ship. Commander Roy Patterson, leading Earth's orbital defense platform, watched the transmission with growing dread. His platform was the most heavily armed human installation in space, but compared to the alien fleet, it looked like a toy. "Sir," his aide whispered, "our weapons barely have the range to reach their ships. Even if we could hit them, our missiles would never penetrate their shields." "I know," Roy replied quietly, "but we have to try. It's our home down there." The alien broadcast continued. "Your weapons are chemical rockets and metal projectiles, crude devices that belong in a museum. Watch now as we demonstrate the power that conquered 12 worlds." One of the Valerian ships broke away from the main fleet. It was smaller than the flagship, but still dwarfed any human vessel. The ship moved toward a large asteroid that had been captured in Earth's orbit years earlier for mining operations. "This asteroid is similar in size to your largest cities," Commander Zethnox announced. "Observe." The Valerian ship's main weapon charged with a deep thrumming sound that could be heard even through the vacuum of space. A beam of pure energy, brighter than lightning, lanced out from the ship's nose. When it struck the asteroid, the massive rock simply vanished in a flash of light. "That is the fate that awaits your cities if you continue this pointless resistance," the commander said. "Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your armor cannot protect you. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." In her underground laboratory, Dr. Martinez finally understood what she was seeing. The alien weapons were indeed powered by quantum singularities, but they used them in a way that created a specific resonance pattern. And that pattern had a weakness of frequency that could cause the artificial black holes to become unstable. "General Rodriguez," she called excitedly into her communicator, "I think I've found their weakness." On Earth's orbital defense platform, engineer Kate Williams was making final adjustments to the gravitational field generators. She had spent the last 3 days modifying every human ship with the same technology that powered the USS Defiant. The modifications were untested, but they were humanity's only hope. "Roy," she said to Commander Patterson, "the modifications are complete. Every ship in the fleet now has the new gravitational system installed. What exactly will they do?" Roy asked. Kate hesitated. "If Dr. Martinez's theories are correct, they'll create quantum interference patterns that can disrupt the aliens' power systems. But we've never tested this technology against real quantum singularities." "You mean we don't know if it will work?" "We know it should work in theory," Kate replied. "But theory and practice are very different things." The alien fleet began to move into attack formation. The crystalline ships arranged themselves in a complex pattern that would allow them to fire on every major city on Earth simultaneously. Their shields glowed with contained energy, and their weapons charged with the promise of destruction. "Final warning," Commander Zethnox broadcast. "Surrender now, or face the full might of the Valerian Empire. Your primitive technology cannot save you. Your metal ships are nothing but targets. Submit, and some of your population may be allowed to live as servants. General Rodriguez looked around the command bunker at the faces of her staff. These men and women had worked without sleep for 3 days, preparing for a battle that seemed impossible to win. But she saw determination in their eyes, not fear. "Send a message to all ships," she ordered. "Tell them to prepare for combat, and patch me through to the alien commander." The transmission opened, and Amy Rodriguez found herself face to face with the alien who intended to conquer her world. "Commander Zethnox," she said, her voice steady and strong. "This is General Amy Rodriguez of Earth Defense Command. We reject your ultimatum. Humanity will never surrender to tyranny." The alien commander's expression showed surprise and amusement. "Very well, General. Your bravery is admirable, if foolish. When your cities are ash and your fleets are destroyed, remember that you chose this path." The transmission ended, and both fleets began to move toward each other. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The first shots of the war came at dawn. As the sun rose over Earth's horizon, a Valyrian fleet opened fire with weapons that had conquered 12 worlds. Beams of concentrated energy, brighter than small suns, lanced toward the planet's surface. Their target was New York City, home to 8 million people. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Thompson watched the attack from his position on the orbital defense platform. The energy beams were moving at incredible speed, but Earth's defenders were ready. "Activate all defense grids," he ordered. "Intercept those beams before they reach the atmosphere." Dozens of human defense satellites opened fire simultaneously. Their lasers and particle beams created a wall of energy between the alien attack and Earth's surface. The collision of opposing forces lit up space like a 4th of July fireworks display. When the light faded, New York City was still there, protected by human technology and determination. "Impossible," Commander Zethnox muttered from his flagship. "Their defensive systems are more advanced than our scans indicated." Captain Ryan Blake, commanding the USS Defiant, led his squadron of 12 ships toward the alien fleet. To any observer, it looked like a suicide mission. The human vessels were tiny compared to the crystalline giants they were approaching, like wolves attacking elephants. "All ships maintain formation," Ryan ordered over the communication system. "Remember, we're not trying to destroy them with conventional weapons. We're here to test Dr. Martinez's theory." Behind him, the rest of Earth's fleet followed at a distance. Captain Susan Hayes, commanding the USS Vigilant, coordinated with the other ship captains. "Stay ready with the gravitational generators," she told them. "When Blake's squadron engages, we'll know if the quantum interference works." Dr. Martinez sat in her laboratory, deep beneath the Earth, monitoring the quantum signatures from the alien fleet. Her instruments showed the telltale patterns of controlled singularities, artificial black holes that powered the Valyrian ships. If her calculations were correct, those same power sources could be turned against their creators. "General Rodriguez," she called into her communicator, "I'm reading massive quantum distortions from the alien fleet. Their ships are like floating bombs waiting to explode. We just need to find the right frequency." The Valyrian ships moved into attack position, their crystalline hulls shimmering with barely contained energy. Each vessel was a masterpiece of alien engineering, designed to be indestructible. Their shields had never been breached, their weapons had never been matched. "Target their lead ships," Commander Zethnox ordered. "Show them what happens when primitives challenge the Empire." The alien weapons charged with a sound like thunder. Quantum cannons that could destroy moons prepared to fire on the approaching human squadron. The Valyrian crew watched their screens, confident that the tiny human ships would be vaporized instantly. But Captain Blake had other plans. "All ships activate gravitational field generators on my mark," he ordered. Set them to the frequency. Dr. Martinez calculated 3.2.1. Mark. The space around the human squadron began to shimmer and bend. The USS Defiant and its companions disappeared behind a curtain of twisted spacetime, their gravitational generators creating effects that the Valyrian computers couldn't understand. "What are they doing?" demanded Commander Zethnox. "Their gravity fields are useless against our weapons." The first Valyrian ship fired its main cannon. The beam of energy that had destroyed the asteroid earlier struck the human squadron's gravitational field. But instead of vaporizing the human ships, something unexpected happened. The energy beam was twisted and reflected back toward the alien fleet. More importantly, the gravitational field had created a resonance pattern that matched the quantum signature of the Valyrian power cores. The controlled black hole inside the alien ship began to vibrate in harmony with the human-generated field. "Commander," the alien tactical officer called out in alarm, "we're detecting instabilities in the quantum core of Ship 77 Alpha." On the screen, one of the Valyrian ships began to glow with an inner light. The crystalline hull started to crack as the artificial black hole inside it became unstable. Within seconds, the ship exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the entire fleet. "What just happened?" Commander Zethnox demanded. "Unknown, sir," the tactical officer replied, his voice shaking. "The quantum core suffered a complete containment failure. I've never seen anything like it." Captain Blake watched the explosion with amazement. "Dr. Martinez was right," he said into his communicator. "Their own power source is their weakness. All ships continue the interference pattern." 3 more Valyrian ships fired their weapons at the human squadron. Each time, the gravitational field reflected their energy and created resonance patterns that destabilized their quantum cores. 3 more explosions lit up the darkness of space. "Impossible," Commander Zethnox whispered. "Our ships are indestructible. Our quantum cores are perfectly stable." But the evidence was right in front of him. 4 of his ships had been destroyed, not by human weapons, but by their own technology turned against them. The primitive metal ships were somehow causing quantum core failures that should have been impossible. Dr. Martinez watched her instruments with growing excitement. "General, it's working. The interference pattern is causing cascade failures in their quantum systems. Each time they fire, they're destabilizing their own power cores." "How many ships can we take out this way?" General Rodriguez asked. "All of them," Dr. Martinez replied. "If we can maintain the interference field, every ship that fires its weapons will destroy itself." The news spread through the human fleet like wildfire. The impossible was happening. The mighty Valyrian Empire, conquerors of 12 worlds, was being defeated by their own technology. Commander Zethnox watched in growing horror as more of his ships suffered critical failures. "Cease fire," he ordered. "All ships, power down your main weapons until we can understand what's happening." But Captain Blake and his squadron weren't finished. They had learned something important about the alien technology, and they were about to share that knowledge with the rest of the human fleet. "All ships, this is Blake," he broadcast to the entire Earth fleet. "Activate your gravitational generators and set them to interference mode. We're going to create a field that covers their entire fleet." Engineer Pete Collins, watching from Earth's command center, understood immediately. They're going to trap the alien fleet in a quantum interference net. If the Valyrians try to use their weapons, or even their engines, they'll destabilize their own power cores. The stage was set for the next phase of the battle. The Valyrian Empire had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. The war was far from over, but for the first time since the alien fleet had arrived, Humanity had hope. The impossible had become possible, and the balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift forever. Commander Nathan Price, Earth's chief tactical officer, stood before the main display screen in the command bunker. The holographic image showed the Valyrian fleet surrounded by a web of gravitational distortions created by the human ships. It was time for the second phase of Earth's desperate plan. All ships, this is command. Nathan spoke into his communicator. Initiate Protocol Omega. Create maximum interference pattern across the entire enemy fleet. 50 human ships moved into perfect formation around the alien fleet. Each vessel activated its gravitational field generator at full power, creating a complex pattern of space-time distortions that surrounded the Valyrian ships like an invisible cage. Commander Zethnox felt his flagship shake as the quantum interference field took effect. Warning lights flashed across his bridge as his crew tried to understand what was happening to their ships. "Sir," his chief engineer called out, "we're detecting massive quantum fluctuations throughout the fleet. The interference pattern is affecting every ship with an active quantum core." "Then shut them down," Zethnox ordered. "Power down all quantum systems until we can find a way to counter this effect." But it was too late. The interference field had already begun to affect the artificial black holes that powered the Valyrian ships. Like a virus spreading through a computer network, the quantum distortions moved from ship to ship, creating chaos in the alien fleet. Dr. Lisa Carter, monitoring the battle from Earth's command center, watched her instruments with fascination and horror. "The quantum cascade is spreading faster than we predicted," she reported. "Their ships are interconnected through quantum entanglement. When one core becomes unstable, it affects all the others." The first sign of disaster came from the outer edge of the Valyrian fleet. A massive battleship, twice the size of any human vessel, began to glow with an inner light. Its crystalline hull, which had survived battles across 12 star systems, started to crack and splinter. "The Eternal Victory is showing critical quantum fluctuations," reported the tactical officer on the alien flagship. "Core containment is failing." Commander Zethnox watched in disbelief as one of his most powerful ships tore itself apart. The quantum singularity at its heart had become unstable, creating a miniature black hole that consumed the ship from the inside. The explosion that followed was visible from Earth's surface. "Impossible," he whispered. "That ship was indestructible." But the cascade was just beginning. The quantum interference field created by the human ships was causing resonance patterns that spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. Each ship that tried to use its engines or weapons only made the problem worse. Captain Ryan Blake, still leading his squadron in the heart of the battle, coordinated with the other human ships. "Maintain the interference pattern," he ordered. "Don't let any of them escape." The USS Vigilant, commanded by Captain Susan Hayes, took position above the alien fleet. From her bridge, she could see the chaos spreading through the Valyrian ships. "This is incredible," she reported. "They're destroying themselves." Major Tony Garcia, piloting Earth's fastest interceptor, flew through the battlefield rescuing alien crew members who were abandoning their failing ships. Even in the heat of battle, humanity showed mercy to its enemies. "Garcia, what are you doing?" came a voice over the radio. "Those are enemy personnel. They're also living beings," Tony replied, pulling another group of survivors into his ship's cargo bay. "We're not monsters." The quantum cascade continued to spread through the Valyrian fleet. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were being torn apart by their own technology. The crystalline hulls that had seemed so beautiful and indestructible were shattering like glass. Dr. Helen Martinez, working frantically in her laboratory, tracked the progression of the quantum failures. "The interference pattern is creating a feedback loop," she explained to General Rodriguez. Each ship that fails makes the others more unstable. It's like a chain reaction. How many ships will it affect? The general asked. All of them, Dr. Martinez replied grimly. Unless they can find a way to completely shut down their quantum cores, every ship in that fleet is doomed. Commander Zethnox was beginning to understand the magnitude of the disaster. Half his fleet was already showing signs of quantum instability, and the cascade was spreading faster than his crews could respond. All ships, Emergency Protocol 7, he ordered. Shut down all quantum systems immediately. Switch to backup power only. But the order came too late for many ships. The quantum interference field had already infected their core systems. Even powering down couldn't stop the cascade once it had begun. The alien commander watched in horror as ship after ship in his fleet was consumed by uncontrolled quantum events. The Stellar Dominator, the Void Crusher, the Galaxy's Edge ships with names that had struck fear into the hearts of conquered worlds, were being destroyed by invisible forces they couldn't fight. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 ships. Their quantum cores are failing, and they're requesting permission to abandon ship. Zethnox felt something he had never experienced before: defeat. The Valerian Empire had never lost a battle, never retreated from any enemy. But the humans had found a way to turn their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. Grant the requests, he said quietly. Order all ships to prepare for immediate evacuation. Captain Blake watched the alien fleet tear itself apart and felt no joy in the victory. The destruction was massive, unlike anything he had ever seen. Entire ships were being consumed by their own power sources, creating explosions that lit up the darkness of space. All human ships, stand by to render assistance, he ordered. Prepare to rescue survivors. The battle was effectively over. The mighty Valerian fleet, which had arrived with 200 ships ready to conquer Earth, was being destroyed by the very technology that had made them masters of the galaxy. The quantum cascade had spread through their fleet like a plague, turning their own weapons against them. Engineer Pete Collins, watching from Earth's command center, shook his head in amazement. They never understood their own technology, he said. They used quantum singularities for power, but they never learned how to protect against quantum interference. The cascade continued for another hour, consuming ship after ship. When it finally ended, only a handful of Valerian vessels remained functional. The rest were either destroyed or drifting powerless in space, their crews abandoning ship in escape pods. The greatest fleet in the galaxy had been defeated by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. The Valerian Empire, which had conquered 12 worlds with ease, had been brought to its knees by the very forces they thought they controlled. As the last explosions faded and the space around Earth grew quiet, humanity realized that everything had changed. They had not only defended their world, they had demonstrated a power that could reshape the entire galaxy. The silence after the battle was almost deafening. Where once 200 Valerian warships had threatened Earth, now only 12 remained functional. The rest were either destroyed or floating dead in space, their crews evacuated to the few. Surviving vessels. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, looking out at the wreckage of what had been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Debris from alien ships drifted through space like metallic snow, each piece a reminder of how quickly the mighty could fall. Admiral, Captain Ryan Blake reported, we're receiving a transmission from the Valerian flagship. Commander Zethnox is requesting permission to surrender. Jake nodded slowly. Put him through. The main screen showed the alien commander's bridge. It was a shadow of its former glory. Sparks flew from damaged equipment, and several crew members nursed injuries. Commander Zethnox himself looked beaten, his proud bearing replaced by the weight of absolute defeat. Admiral Morrison, the alien commander said, his voice hollow. "I formally surrender the remaining vessels of the Valyrian Imperial Fleet. We... ... We do not understand how you achieved this victory." "It wasn't magic," Jake replied. "It was science. Your people used quantum technology without fully understanding its weaknesses. We learned to exploit those weaknesses." Dr. Helen Martinez, who had been monitoring the conversation from her laboratory, stepped forward. "Commander, your quantum singularities are incredibly powerful, but they're also incredibly dangerous when destabilized. We developed a way to create interference, patterns that cause cascade failures in your containment systems." The alien commander's large eyes widened. "You mean you turned our own power sources against us?" "In a way, yes," Dr. Martinez confirmed. "Your ships were destroying themselves. We just provided the trigger." News of the victory spread across Earth within minutes. In every major city, people gathered in the streets to celebrate. The alien threat that had seemed so overwhelming just hours before had been defeated by human ingenuity and determination, but the celebration was tempered by the magnitude of what had happened. The destruction of the Valyrian fleet would send shockwaves across the galaxy. Every alien civilization would now know that Earth possessed a weapon that could destroy the most advanced fleets in space. General Amy Rodriguez coordinated the rescue operations from her command bunker. "All ships, continue search and rescue operations. I want every survivor recovered, human and alien alike." Major Tony Garcia, who had been pulling alien survivors from disabled ships, landed his interceptor in the USS Defiance hangar bay. His cargo hold was filled with Valyrian crew members who had escaped their dying vessels. "How many did you save?" Captain Blake asked. 43 from the last ship," Tony replied. "They're scared, but they're alive. Some of them are asking how we developed such powerful weapons." "Tell them the truth," Jake said. "We didn't develop weapons. We developed understanding." The political implications of the victory were staggering. Within hours of the battle's end, Earth's communication systems were flooded with messages from alien civilizations across the galaxy. Some offered congratulations, others requested alliance, and a few delivered thinly veiled threats. Dr. Lisa Carter, working with a team of linguists, translated the most important messages. "Admiral, we're getting communications from the Rigel Coalition, the Andromedan Assembly, and at least 12 other major powers. They all want to know about our quantum disruption technology." "What are they saying exactly?" Jake asked. "Most of them are being very polite," Dr. Carter replied with a slight smile. "Apparently, word travels fast in the galaxy. Everyone knows what happened to the Valyrian fleet, and nobody wants to be next." Commander Zefnox, now a prisoner aboard his own flagship, requested another meeting with the human commanders. When the communication link was established, he looked even more defeated than before. "Admiral Morrison," he said, "I have been in contact with the Valyrian High Command. They ... They wish to offer Earth a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" Jake asked. "The Empire is prepared to offer you full membership in the Galactic Council," Zefnox replied. "You would be granted protectorate, status over former Valyrian territories, and given a permanent seat on the ruling council." The offer was staggering. In the space of a single battle, Earth had gone from being a target for conquest to being offered membership in the galaxy's ruling body. "Why?" Jake asked. "Why would they make such an offer?" "Because," the alien commander said quietly, "you have proven that the Valyrian Empire can be defeated. Other civilizations that have been under our rule are already declaring independence. Rebellions are breaking out on 6 worlds. The Empire needs Earth's protection more than Earth needs this Empire's rule." Engineer Pete Collins, who had been listening to the conversation, spoke up. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from the alien fleet. The same technology that destroyed their ships could be adapted for peaceful purposes. We could help them redesign their power systems to be more stable. Dr. Martinez nodded in agreement. We could share our knowledge of quantum interference patterns. Instead of using it as a weapon, we could use it to improve their technology and make it safer. Jake considered the options carefully. Earth had won a great victory, but with victory came responsibility. The galaxy was watching to see what humanity would do with its newfound power. Commander Zethnox, Jake said finally, tell your high command that Earth is willing to discuss terms. But we're not interested in conquest or empire. We want to help create a galaxy where all civilizations can coexist peacefully. The alien commander's expression showed something that might have been hope. You would truly help us after what we tried to do to your world? That's what humans do, Jake replied. We try to find a better way. 6 months later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the neutral world of Centauri Prime. The Galactic Council had accepted Earth as a full member, and humanity was now responsible for maintaining peace in 3 star systems formerly controlled by the Valerian Empire. Captain Ryan Blake, now Admiral Blake, commanded the first human interstellar fleet. The USS Defiant had been joined by 50 new ships, all equipped with improved quantum interference technology that could disable aggressive fleets without destroying them. Dr. Helen Martinez had established the Quantum Safety Institute, working with alien scientists to develop better containment systems for quantum technology. Her work had already prevented 3 potential disasters on worlds that had been using unstable quantum reactors. The irony is beautiful, she explained to a gathering of galactic scientists. The Valerians thought their quantum technology made them invincible. In reality, it made them vulnerable. By learning to understand rather than just use the technology, we've made it safer for everyone. Pete Collins had become the galaxy's leading expert on quantum interference patterns. His workshops on defensive quantum applications were attended by engineers from dozens of worlds, all eager to learn how to protect their own technology from similar cascade failures. The former Valerian territories had become a model for peaceful cooperation. The rebellions that had broken out after the fleet's destruction had been resolved through negotiation rather than warfare. Earth's negotiators, led by Dr. Lisa Carter, had helped establish democratic governments on 6 worlds. The key, Dr. Carter explained to the Galactic Council, is that we never tried to replace the Valerian Empire with a human empire. We helped each world find its own path to freedom. Commander Zethnox, who had initially been a prisoner of war, had become an unlikely ally. After months of working with human scientists to understand what had happened to his fleet, he had requested permission to stay on Earth as a cultural exchange representative. Your species is remarkable, he told Admiral Morrison during one of their regular meetings. You could have used your victory to conquer the galaxy. Instead, you chose to protect it. That's what we do, Jake replied, echoing his words from 6 months earlier. We try to find a better way. The changes weren't limited to technology and politics. The cultural exchange between Earth and the galaxy had enriched both sides. Human music, art, and literature were becoming popular on dozens of worlds, while Earth's museums and libraries were filled with artifacts and knowledge from across the galaxy. Major Tony Garcia, who had risked his life to rescue alien survivors during the battle, had established the Galactic Rescue Service. His teams of human and alien volunteers responded to emergencies across 3 star systems, saving lives regardless of species or politics. We learned something important during that battle, Tony explained to new recruits. Victory isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about finding a way to turn enemies into friends. The quantum interference technology that had won the war was now being used to maintain peace. When the Rigel coalition attempted to invade a smaller neighbor, Admiral Blake's fleet arrived and disabled their ships without firing a single destructive shot. The conflict was resolved through negotiation within hours. The galaxy is learning that aggression doesn't pay, General Amy Rodriguez observed during a meeting of Earth's military leaders. When you know your fleet can be disabled without warning, you think twice about starting wars. But perhaps the most important change was in how the galaxy viewed Ear.